Hey everybody, how y'all doing? Uh, it's me here again. We're starting to wind down on the evening. Today is what day is it? It's Thursday. So yesterday afternoon, I did not get a chance to make a video. We um, we ended up not getting back until pretty late, and then had dinner, and then I think we had to. What time did we start this morning? We had breakfast at 5 a.m. this morning. So didn't really get a chance to make the video, but I hope y'all got to see Daniel talk to you yesterday. Daniel is a physiotherapist or a physical therapist, as we call it, and he was in a clinic down in Nairobi. So yesterday, a few of us went down. Oh, my bad. A few of us went down to Nairobi, two doctors and myself, and we saw some athletes down there. They do sports clinic on every Wednesday, and then so if they recommend physical therapy right then and there, then they come right over and see us. Otherwise, Daniel sees his regular patients, whether it be every day, 5 days a week, or whether it be 3 times a week, or whatever he thinks is necessary for the patient's well being. So, went down there and got to work with Daniel, and I'm not sure if y'all got to see. No, you didn't get to see kind of his facility. Um, I was expecting it to be about what it was. They don't have the luxury items like we are able to afford, and it's kind of the bare minimum. So I did take a lot of pictures of that though, so I can show you all that when I get back to school. But yeah, so got to work with him. Got to see some rugby athletes. There was one guy. He was 22 years old, probably 6'3", 245 pounds. I mean, he was, and he could have played linebacker for the Saints probably. But he was a big boy, and got to work with him. Got to work with 3 or 4 different shoulder patients, and got to show Daniel a few things that we do, and he showed me a few things that they do, and so it was really cool to interact with him and with the patients, and again, it was really neat. Um, Probably one of the most interesting patients that we saw was a 57-year-old man. He works for the UN, and he was in Somalia. What did he say? It was about 6 or 7 weeks ago, maybe 8 weeks ago. There was a car bomb, and he was pretty close to it. And he said there were over 100 people that died, and from the car bomb, and somehow like there were people that were further away from him that passed away. People that whose legs got amputated and got decapitated, and just really horrific injuries. And he got thrown. He said a numerous amount of meters, and he fell, and he got knocked out, and he woke up, and was disoriented, didn't know where he was, and they said, you go to the hospital, you go to the hospital. So they brought him to the hospital, and he got there, and was still disoriented, just didn't know what had happened, and to look him over, and he didn't have a scratch on him. He wasn't bleeding. Uh, he felt fine. He wasn't in any pain. So they said, "What are you doing here? Go home. We're dealing with real trauma uh, patients here. People that with significant injuries. We don't have time to waste on you." So he's so sorry, and he left. And uh, but 3 weeks went on, and he started hurting a little bit more and a little bit more and a little bit more in his shoulder. So he went and got it checked out, and sure enough, he had a torn rotator cuff. So they did the surgery about, I think it was 2 weeks ago. Did the surgery, so he was there for physio, and and got to work with him, and he was one of the most delightful individuals I've ever met in my life. He was so friendly and so kind, and just a great man. And so that was a pretty cool experience. But like I said, so we left there late last night. Left about 5:30 or so, and it was about a 2-hour drive with traffic and kids getting out of school and that sort of thing. Um, and we stopped at a, they said like a look, go look, and you would know it as like a lookout point. It was an elevation of 8,000 feet that overlooked the valley, and it was breathtaking. It really was. I got a lot of pictures on that, and so that was pretty cool. So we stopped there for a minute and then made our way back into the station, as they call it, which is their like little village here, and on the side of the mountain, and where the hospital is, and there's actually uh, three hospitals. There's a women's hospital, and there's the main hospital, the Kajabi Hospital, and then there is Cure, which is the nonprofit outreach ministry hospital that we've been here working with, and everything. Patients come from, like I said, from all over, and it costs them nothing, and they can come and do physio. They can come and have surgery. They can see the doctor, and so it's really been an amazing experience. So today we woke up at 5 and had breakfast and made our way down to Nairobi. Today started the conference, and so it took about 3 hours to get to the hotel where the conference was. There was a intersection that had about 2.5 feet of water, just standing water. We had a lot of rain this morning, and so nobody was, low cars couldn't drive through it, so it just backed up the traffic, and we couldn't get anywhere. So, but we finally made it, and the conference even started like 30 minutes late, and because of us, we were not only two of the first speakers that were speaking, but it was also the main doctor that's putting this on, Dr. Malu. He was in the vehicle with us coming down, so we were a little late, but we made it and got going and got started. And so there's a sports medicine doctor. He's a primary care doctor out of Vanderbilt, and he flew in last night, and he spoke about emergency action plan and how to make one and how to design it and how to implement it and that sort of thing. So he spoke, and then they did a little practical and practiced that for a little while, and then we had tea time, which I'm sure I'll talk to y'all in class about that. We at about 10 or 10:30 every day, and at about 5 o'clock every day is tea time, and there's kind of like an old saying here: it's always tea time, and they drink a chamomile tea, and it's just their culture. It's what they do, and they sit and they share stories and they talk to one another, and they really just take a time out from work, and it lasts from 5 minutes to 30 minutes, but and then they get right back to it like nothing ever happened. But it's tea time. Where are you going? Oh, it's tea time. So we stopped and took tea time at the conference, and then when we came back, there was a doctor out of South Africa, more research based. She was a physiotherapist, and she did a presentation on patellofemoral pain, and so she talked for about an hour and showed her studies that she's doing and the research that she's doing and treatment options that she's doing, and showed us what works for their patients there, and gave us some insight into some new things that we could try, and so we collaborated about that for a while and discussed that, and then we took a break for lunch, and then after lunch I got up and gave my presentation, and yeah, I thought it went very well. Started talking about the history of athletic training, and then talked about the sports medicine team, who's involved in the sports medicine team, and then how it all works, how the sports medicine team communicates amongst one another. Here they don't really have that, and so I really tried to implement of it takes that communication. It takes spending time with your doctor and spending time with the physio and spending time with everybody involved to get to know them and to be on the same page and to make things work. Because if not, if you don't have that communication, nothing's going to happen. But so we talked about the sports medicine team, and then we went and uh, moved on to the domains of athletic training and the six domains of athletic training and prevention, and how we're the only healthcare profession that does prevention, and then went to evaluation and rehabilitation and everything else that's involved in athletic training, and kind of describe to them, because so many people they've heard the words but they have no idea what it means. They don't know what athletic training is or what an athletic trainer is. They only know physio or kinesiotherapist, and which is pretty much the exact same thing. And so they were really interested in how that worked, and so I explained to them how we work, side by side with the teams, the athletes, every single day, and it kind of took them aback, because that is what you call immediate care. No matter what, whether you got a splinter in your finger or you just had a cardiac incident and you need CPR, there's someone there, and they're not used to that. In South Africa, they're not used to that. In Australia, they're not used to that. Here in Kenya, that's kind of abnormal. So we talked about how to implement an athletic trainer, not necessarily that term athletic trainer, but even the physio. If they can learn the duties of what the athletic trainer does with their knowledge of assessment and treatment and rehabilitation, if they can learn more things, then they can do a similar job. And so talked about how to try to implement that with the domains, and then moved on to, it was called What's in My Bag was the section. And basically I explained to them what I do on a daily basis, from taping and wrapping to wound care to splinting and bracing and treatment and rehabilitation, communication with coaches, injury reports, all this stuff that I'm sure you as my students, y'all see me do this every single day, and you think nothing of it. It's second nature, but here it was. What is that? How why are you doing that? Why is that? That's wow. That's every single day. So rather than the athlete gets hurt and then they come and see the doctor, and then the doctor tells them to see the physio after the fact, and it could be 2 days later, it could be 2 months later, and so just kind of the coordination of it all. And so one big thing that especially that they have here in Nairobi with their professional teams of rugby and football, which is soccer, they don't have medical professionals telling them what to do, because they don't know. They oh, my knee hurts. Well, they need someone there to tell them you cannot play because you're going to hurt yourself worse. It's not safe. So they don't have that. And also on top of that, the coach is telling them, I need you. You're playing, no questions asked. If you want to still continue to be part of this team, you're playing. And obviously where we're from, that's not right. That's not how we do things. So I created a little extra section of how to work together with as medical professionals, how to work together, how to communicate with the coaches and the GMs, the owners, and that it's not a far-fetched idea that as a sports medicine team to sit down with the owner of the not national rugby team because that would belong to the country of Kenya, but you know what I mean. The owner of the semi-pro team or the league, the national or not national again, but the a soccer team, a league soccer team, or a city soccer team, or whatever team that they're on. Um, Sitting down with the owner, sitting down with the general manager, and saying, "These are the things that we can offer you. If you want your players to be healthy, we can make that happen. That's what we do." But they need to have the confidence. The medical professionals here need to have the confidence and need to have the strength and need to have the integrity and to go up and say, "You need to listen to us. We can help you. If you want to be successful, we can help you be successful or be more successful when it comes to athletes being injured." And so I think that really kind of hit home with them, and it was a big wow moment of because that's what they're trying to do. They're trying to get this started. This is the first annual sports medicine conference for this area, and like I said, we have there was technically there was registered like 55 people in attendance, but today we had 110 people come and show up at the conference. And so, yes, it's still small, but it's the first year and it's growing. It's not like what you may imagine of, 500, 1,000, 2,000 attendees going to a conference. But we had people from South Africa, from Somalia, from Sudan, from India, from Australia that came in for this conference, and every single one I probably spent 10 or 15 minutes with the people from Australia, and they were physiotherapists, and they were like, "What is an athletic trainer?" I was like, "It's gonna take too long. Just listen to my my speech, and then you'll understand it." So I'm gonna follow up with them tomorrow and see if they have any more questions. But so I thought it went really well, and then after that they sprung on me that we wanted to do more emergency action planning. So I created a scenario, and had each kind of all of the attendees break up into 5 or 6 person teams, and and talk about how to design and make a emergency action plan, and then gave them the scenario of a 22-year-old female soccer player who jumped up to hit a ball and someone ran into her feet and she came down and her neck got flexed laterally, and she was laying motionless on the field. And that that's what they had to go by, and so they worked on that for a while, and then after that we did a mock emergency situation where we had a victim. I was the first responder, the athletic trainer who got to the patient, evaluated them, realized, okay, we've got a potential neck injury, and held C-spine stabilization, and then I had people that were on my team, my sports medicine team, that went and got the spine board, and somebody else that was going to get the AED just in case we needed it, and they were calling 911, and they were calling the parents. They were, that person was the communication person, and then we had to do a log roll and roll that person onto the spine board and have them ready for transportation. So we did that, and then started trying to think. We talked a little bit more, went on. Oh, discussed some dislocations, just kind of how to reduce them and how the easiest and most convenient way to do it. So we kind of broke up into 4 different groups, and we spoke about that. So that was more kind of the doctors leading that to the physios and orthopedics that were there as well. and did that, and then kind of started breaking down from there. Um, and then of course it was tea time again, and so they had tea time, and then we started wrapping up and getting cleaned up and getting picked up and started to get out of there. And I think it was maybe 6 or 6:30 when we left, and then we only got about 20 minutes away, and there was we assume it was an accident. We were not moving for about 30 minutes, 45 minutes, and so it took a long time to get home, and or to get back to Kajabi, and but we made it and got a little bite to eat, and now it's time to call it a night because I think we are leaving at 5 a.m. this morning. Since we were late this morning, uh, Dr. Malu said, we're leaving early. We're not going to be late again tomorrow. So, but yeah, the later you leave, you start catching a lot more traffic getting into the city. So, we're going to leave a little bit earlier tomorrow, and do day two. So, Dr. Matthews is going to be speaking most of the morning on shoulders and talking about what he does there, and then in the afternoon we're going to have a bunch of breakout sessions where I'll get to do a lot of instructing on taping and wrapping. So looking forward to that, and shout out to Medco who to help sponsor a lot of these supplies that